Welcome back to Daily Flash, Mitch English, along with Andrea Jackson. As we jump into parenthood, if you're a parent of a very young child, you'll definitely want to be listening to this. Thumb sucking is a very common habit among infants and toddlers, but do we really know the lasting effects of the behavior? Joining us now is speech pathologist Toni-Ann Antoniato. She's joining us now. Toni-Ann, welcome to the show. I've always seen kids doing it. It's kind of cute. But actually, it seems though this little harmless childhood behavior can actually change the structure of a child's face. And when I heard this, I was amazed because I knew it had something to do with the teeth, but the face altogether, explain that.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first, thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
And yes, a sucking habit like thumb sucking is something that can be very common and very appropriate up until a certain age. We all are born with a sucking reflex, and that's an important reflex for us for feeding. However, that reflex subsides by 6 months of age. So any sucking that happens past that point can do some changes to the face. When you're sucking your thumb, it puts pressure on the structures here. So your lower jaw, your upper jaw, your teeth, your lips, the roof of your mouth, which is also the floor of your nose. Those structures can all change from thumb sucking.
I'm sure you can't address all of this, but is thumb sucking a habit or is it an insecurity?
So thumb sucking, a lot of the times, like I said, is that reflex. But past that reflex, there can be an underlying reason for why that child is continuing to suck their thumb. So sometimes that's because their tongue's not resting correctly in their mouth.
Okay.
Sometimes it can have to do with the airway being restricted and having difficulties breathing correctly. So there can definitely be an underlying reason.
Oh, okay.
Why? Mm-hmm.
Okay, so and whereas I guess where I was leading to is a lot of people, at least I grew up always thinking it was like an insecurity thing, and that they just are used to it. And sometimes when you see on TV people making fun, they'll be sucking their thumb. So we think of that, but it might be just those actual physical issues that you just spoke of. We hear a lot about an overbite. Is that a case? I mean, is that something true that can come out of sucking thumbs?
Absolutely. An overbite is something that we call a malocclusion. There's different types of malocclusion. There's the overbite, there's an underbite, there's an open bite, a crossbite. Those are all types of malocclusions that can happen from a prolonged sucking habit like thumb sucking.
Okay, we're talking about the thumb, but you see this picture right here? My little brother would do this right here, what we're seeing on the screen. Is there a difference between that? Could that be like, that might be a problem with the roof of the mouth or the tongue, or is it just, again, goes back to the same thing?
All the same thing, it's
Okay.
that sucking. So a lot of the times what happens is when our tongue is supposed to rest up in the roof of our mouth, it is helping us to stimulate what's called our parasympathetic system. And that is what controls that soothing mechanism that our body goes through. So if our tongue's not up there, we'll oftentimes find something else like our thumb or our fingers to put up there instead to get that nice, soothing, calming sensation.
That is interesting, something I never actually thought about. But you're a speech pathologist, so obviously, does this affect speech? And if it does, explain.
Yes. Absolutely. So those muscles that are getting impacted and those structures, they're the same structures and muscles that we use for speaking. So a lot of the times those muscles become weaker, the tongue's not functioning correctly, and then it carries over into difficulties producing certain speech sounds, difficulties like mouth breathing that can also further impact our speech development.
Okay, now how do we stop this? I think I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble, but we used to put stuff like pepper or something on my little brother's finger so he'd stop doing it. Was that the wrong thing to do?
So probably.
Okay.
What we want to do is depending on the child's age. So if, we said they should stop by 6 months. So if they're 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, we want to substitute something for them to still explore their oral cavity, which is what they're trying to do. So there's a ton of oral motor tools and different sensory teethers that we can give a baby that will allow them to stimulate their oral cavity in a more productive way.
And I would imagine germs too is an issue with that too, right?
Yes, definitely, especially once they get to the school age, because they're at school all day and then a lot of the times they get germs on them and then they're sucking. But if they are that school age, you really want to consider an evaluation with a speech language pathologist.
Folks want to find out more information. This is great. The website's called thespotpal.com. You can go there and get all that information. Toni-Ann, thank you so much for joining us for this. The stuff, I learned something just now, and I feel bad about putting pepper on my little brother's fingers. Thank you so much. More information is going to be found on our website, dailyflashshow.com.